The strange device and the awkward accident Ray was just a human engineer. He liked quiet places, old machines, and working alone. That's why he lived in an outpost far away from Earth, on a remote alien planet called Velora 9. The planet was peaceful, full of thick purple trees, blue skies, and strange wildlife. But most importantly, it had ancient ruins left behind by an old alien race. That's what Ray came here for. Old alien tech fascinated him. One hot afternoon, he found something special deep inside one of the ruins. It was small, shaped like an egg and covered in symbols that glowed faintly. He brought it back to his outpost and placed it on his metal work table. He didn't know what it did, but his fingers were already itching to press buttons. The device had 3 round buttons. 1 red, 1 green, 1 silver. No writing, no safety warning. He looked around, hesitated for a moment, then pressed the green one. Nothing happened. Ray sighed, then laughed at himself. Maybe it's broken, he said out loud, but just then, the door opened behind him. A soft, surprised sound came from the entrance. It was her. Zey la. She wasn't human. She was Velorian, tall, slim, with soft blue skin and glowing white hair. She had big eyes, sharp ears, and a soft voice like wind through leaves. She was young and curious. Sometimes she visited Ray to learn about machines, though her people didn't trust humans much. Today she came in quietly, but the door startled Ray. Startled, his hand slipped. His finger hit the silver button. The device glowed. A soft hum filled the room. Then zap. A beam of light shot out and hit Zila straight in the chest. She froze. Eyes widened. Oh no, Zila, are you okay? Zayla didn't speak at first. She blinked fast, looking confused. Then, slowly she looked down at her chest and gasped. Ray followed her gaze. Her chest, what her people called coconuts, was growing. Just slightly at first, then more. Zila's face turned bright red. She gasped again, covered herself with both arms, and stumbled backward. What did you do? She shouted. I didn't mean to, Ray said quickly. You startled me. I pressed the wrong button. Zila's breathing was fast. Her eyes wide with panic. She tried to pull her cloak tighter around her. But her body was still changing. The coconuts were now noticeably larger and very round. It wasn't painful, but it was definitely very noticeable. I can fix this, just wait. Ray shouted and grabbed the device. No, Zila shouted back, backing away. Don't touch it again. I didn't do it on purpose, Ray said, holding the device away from himself. I swear. Zila turned away, trying to hide her figure behind the large metal crates near the wall. She was trembling with embarrassment. Her skin, normally soft blue, now had pink streaks around her cheeks and neck. Ray had never seen a Velorian blush like that before. I didn't know it would do that, Ray said again, softer this time. I didn't even know it was a real weapon. Zila peeked out from behind the crate. Her arms were crossed tightly over her chest. It's not a weapon, she whispered. It's a transformation device. Only high priests use them. Ray blinked. You know what this is? Yes, it's not for humans to touch. And it's not supposed to be used on girls like me. I didn't mean to zap you. I thought it was junk. Zayla looked down, still blushing furiously. Now, I look ridiculous. They'll all laugh at me. No one's going to laugh, Ray said gently. If anything, they'll just think you grew up overnight. That's worse, she hissed. Ray didn't know what to say. He'd spent years learning about alien machines, but he never imagined one would cause this. I can try to reverse it, he offered. Maybe if I press the red button. Zila's eyes went wide. You press that, and you might turn me into a plant. Ray quickly set the device down and backed away. They stood in silence. Ray scratched the back of his head, nervous. Zayla peeked at him from behind her hair, still covering herself. I swear I'll find a way to fix this, Ray said. Even if I have to learn your whole language and read ancient scrolls. Zayla didn't answer right away. But finally, she whispered, You better. Because if my sister finds out. Ray gulped. You have a sister? Zayla gave him a dangerous look, a big one, and very protective. Then she turned and rushed out of the outpost, cloak flapping, cheeks still glowing. Ray stood there alone. He looked down at the device. It sat on the table, humming softly like it was laughing. Well, he muttered. That could have gone better. Ray couldn't sleep that night. He lay in his bunk, staring at the ceiling of his outpost while the alien device on the workbench gave off a soft green glow. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Zayla's shocked face. And her body. Changing. The look of panic, the deep blush, the way she ran away, it all replayed in his head. He got up and walked to the bench again, picking up the alien device with care. What are you? He muttered, turning it slowly in his hands. The buttons were smooth, no markings, just like before. He didn't dare press anything now. Suddenly, the security alarm beeped. A red flash blinked at the door. Someone was outside. Ray moved quickly to the door and opened it. Zayla stood there, breathing hard, her cloak wrapped tight. But she wasn't alone. Behind her stood another Valorian, taller, stronger looking, with sharp eyes and long silver hair tied back tightly. Her arms were crossed, and she looked angry. Ray swallowed. Sister, Zayla whispered. I see him, the older one said coldly, stepping forward. Ray raised his hands. Listen, it was an accident. I didn't mean. Silence, human, she snapped. You touched sacred tech and humiliated my sister. I didn't know what it was, Ray protested. She walked in, and you activated a forbidden device on her body, she growled. Do you even understand what that means in our culture? No, but I'm trying to. The older sister stepped closer, glaring up into his face. In Valorian law, body changes forced by outsiders are a serious offense. This was not just an accident. This was a marking. Ray blinked. Marking? What does that mean? Zayla looked away, cheeks pink again. Her sister didn't answer. I can fix it, Ray said quickly. Just give me some time. I'll figure out how to reverse it. The older one glared. You have one day. Then she turned and walked away into the night, her long cloak sweeping over the dirt. Zayla stood at the door for a moment, then glanced back at Ray. I believe you didn't mean to do it, she said softly. But they won't care. Ray nodded slowly. I'll find a way. I promise, she hesitated. Please hurry. Then she turned and followed her sister into the forest. Ray stared after them, heart racing. By morning, word had spread. Valorian villagers began gathering near Ray's outpost. They didn't speak or shout, they just stood and watched from a distance. Mothers held their children close. Elders frowned. Young warriors whispered and shook their heads. Ray stayed inside, studying the device under a magnifier, trying to make sense of it. He scanned it, tested signals, even connected it to his tablet. Still no clue. Every symbol, every line of code was alien. Then, as he reached to lift the silver panel, the device beeped. A hologram appeared in the airlines of Valorian script, spinning slowly. Ray leaned in, taking a picture with his lens. Okay, progress. He uploaded the symbols into his translator software and waited. The first word translated. Biological enhancement module. Next line. Stage 1. Memory stimulus complete. Ray's face turned red. Oh, great. He kept reading. It mentioned reversal mode, adaptive growth, and something called bond lock. That last word caught his attention. He tapped on it. More Valorian appeared. He waited for translation. Reversal only possible by bonded user. Or by High Priest override. Ray blinked. Bonded user? Before he could go further, the door slammed open. It was one of the alien village elders. A short, grumpy-looking male with a staff in one hand and suspicious eyes. "I am Elder Cole," he said. "Show me the device." Ray hesitated, but held it out. Cole took it with care, examining it closely. "Foolish human, these were buried for a reason. You should not play with sacred tools." "I didn't mean." Cole ignored him and pressed a button. Ray panicked. "Wait!" Too late. The same light flashed and this time hit Cole in the forehead. There was silence. Then, slowly, Cole's forehead began to swell. His entire head started growing round, smooth, shiny. "Oh no." Ray whispered. Khol blinked, confused. "Why, do I feel strange?" Ray stared. "Your head, it's huge." Cole turned and looked into the metal panel nearby, seeing his reflection. There was a long pause. Then Cole screamed, "What did you do to him, Ray backed away. "You pressed the button." "I told you not to." Villagers ran in and gasped. Some began laughing. Others covered their mouths in shock. Cole turned to them. "Stop laughing. This is forbidden." The villagers didn't stop. Zila returned just then, eyes widening at the sight of her elder's massive head. She looked at Ray, then at the device. Ray sighed. "Still think I did it on purpose?" Zila stared at him, then let out a small laugh. "I guess not." Her sister stepped in beside her. She wasn't laughing. "We will still report this," she said. Ray held up the manual. "Let me fix this first, then you can report me." The sister glared. But Zila gave a small nod. Ray got back to work. The alien crowd watching him now, some angry, some amused. He didn't know how, but he had less than a day to fix everything. Or things were about to get much worse. The outpost was now a place of chaos. Ray sat at his desk, surrounded by a crowd of angry and curious aliens. Some shouted at him, others just stared in silence. Outside, Elder Cole was still hiding behind a tree, wearing a giant scarf over his swollen head and muttering about curses. Every few minutes, he peeked at his reflection in the window and groaned in despair. Ray tried to focus. He had one goal: fix the device. But it wasn't easy when a dozen Valorians were breathing down his neck. "This machine is dangerous," one alien shouted. "It must be destroyed," cried another. Zila stood near the wall, silent, arms crossed, her cheeks still slightly red. Her sister stood beside her like a guard, arms tight, eyes like knives aimed at Ray. Ray took a deep breath and raised his hands. "Everyone, please, let me explain. I didn't build this machine. I just found it buried in the ruins. And yet you used it like a fool," Zila's sister snapped. Ray ignored her and picked up the translation device again. More words had appeared. He skimmed through them, heart pounding. There were mentions of bond marks, growth control, and something else that made him pause. Honor pairing activation. "What is that?" he asked out loud. Zila's sister stepped forward sharply. "Don't say that term so casually." "Why? What does it mean?" Ray asked. Zila lowered her head and whispered, "It's our version of engagement." Ray froze. The room grew quiet. Wait. He looked at Zila. "Are you saying because the device marked you, it thinks we're engaged?" Zila didn't answer, but her blush deepened. The crowd began murmuring. One alien near the back chuckled. "Looks like the human got himself a bride." Zila's sister shouted, "Silence, this is no joke." Ray felt sweat on his forehead. "Look, this is a mistake. I didn't ask for any pairing. I didn't even know this would happen." "Intent does not matter," the sister said firmly. The device chose. The signal was released. Her body accepted the change. "The bond is valid." Ray rubbed his temples. "Unbelievable." Zila finally looked up. "It's not your fault. The device is too old. Maybe it malfunctioned, but once it activates, The law is very clear. Ray stared at her. So, what happens now? The sister stepped forward. You can either accept the bond or face trial for violating a Valorian female. Ray blinked. What kind of choice is that? Zila looked uncomfortable. We didn't make the rule. Another elder stepped forward. This one was older than Cole, but not affected by the machine. He had wise eyes and wore a long gold-lined robe. Enough. Let the human try to reverse the bond. If he succeeds, the claim will be dropped. If not, he paused. Then he must honor the match. Ray nodded. That's all I ask, Time. The elder nodded back. Then you have until moonrise. The crowd slowly dispersed. Some were disappointed, clearly. They liked the drama. Zila stayed behind, watching Ray quietly. He didn't look up. I'm sorry this happened to you. I know, she said gently. I'll fix it. I promise. Zila walked to the door. Before she left, she whispered, It's strange, though. No one ever looked at me before, until now. Then she walked out. Ray was left alone again. The outpost returned to silence, except for Cole's soft groaning from outside. Ray turned to the device again. He examined the energy nodes, recalibrated the beam emitter, and connected it to his main computer. Lines of data poured in. At first, nothing made sense. But then something new appeared. A hidden menu. He accessed it carefully. Restore form user matched only. It said under it. A symbol glowed red. Matched. Zila of Clan Theron. Ray's hands trembled. He tapped the override command, but it locked him out. Access denied. Not High Priest. He tried again. Access denied. Then he saw another option. Shared touch protocol. He paused. That symbol had appeared when Zila touched the device earlier. He looked up, suddenly hopeful. He ran outside. Zila. She was standing near the forest with her sister. She turned. What is it? I need your help. Her sister stepped forward. No. Ray raised his hands. Listen, the device has a lock. It only responds to someone matched. That's you. If we touch it together, it might allow us to reset it. Zila hesitated. Together? Just for a second. She looked nervous but slowly walked back with him. Inside, Ray placed the device on the table. He reached his hand forward and said, Touch it when I say. Zila nodded. 1, 2, now. They both touched it at the same time. The device flashed. A new screen appeared. Bond reset. Confirm? Ray smiled wide. It worked. Zila smiled too. You did it. He pressed confirm. The screen blinked once. Then froze. Error. Emotion threshold too high. Reset failed. Ray blinked. What? Zila's smile vanished. She looked away. Ray looked at her. You're not embarrassed anymore, he said slowly. Zila didn't answer. The machine buzzed again. Bond finalized. Ray stared at it in shock. Zila whispered, I think. I don't want to undo it anymore. Ray turned to her. She was blushing again, but smiling. Outside, the second moon had begun to rise. Ray didn't know what to say. He stood frozen, staring at the alien device. It still hummed softly on the table, its screen blinking with the words, Bond finalized. Zila stood beside him, not running, not hiding, just quiet. She looked calm now, her hands no longer covering herself. The swelling in her coconuts had stopped, but the effects were still clearly visible. Yet she no longer looked embarrassed. In fact, she looked almost proud. Her cheeks were pink, but her eyes were steady. Ray finally found his voice. Zila, you said you didn't want this. I didn't, she replied. But then, I started thinking. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. But I changed your body by mistake. He said, almost desperate. I messed with your life. Zila stepped forward. Yes, but you didn't do it to hurt me. You tried everything to fix it. You even risked angering the elders. Ray rubbed his neck unsure. Still doesn't make it okay. She gave a small smile. Maybe not, but you treated me with respect. That matters. Before Ray could reply, a loud voice echoed from outside. Come out, human. The council demands answers. It was the village's war chief Tharn. He was huge, armored in bone and hide, with 4 arms and tattoos on his face. He stood in front of the outpost with 10 warriors behind him, all holding weapons. Ray peeked out the window and sighed. Oh, great, that guy again. Zila stepped up beside him. He's my cousin. Of course he is, Ray muttered. Ray opened the door slowly. Yes? Tharn stepped forward, pointing at Ray's chest. You marked a Valorian female. Now, you must face judgment. I already faced judgment. Ray protested. Your own elder triggered the device himself. His head still looks like a balloon. The warriors behind Tharn chuckled. Tharn growled, Do not speak of Elder Cole's head. That is sacred injury, Ray blinked. Sacred. Zila came out. Standing between them. He didn't hurt me. I'm fine. The device bonded us, and I accept it. Tharn stared at her. You accept it? Yes, she said calmly. And I gave him the bonding stone. Ray froze. Wait, what bonding? Stone? Zila glanced sideways, almost shy. Remember the little glowing rock I gave you? You said it was pretty and put it in your pocket? Ray slowly pulled it out. It glowed a soft pink in his hand. That's not just a pretty rock, is it? He asked. Zila shook her head. That's the official mating token. Ray nearly dropped it. Tharn's eyes narrowed. Then by our law, he is your chosen. The warriors behind him stood straighter. Some even gave small nods of respect. Tarn, however, looked annoyed. He must prove himself in the trial of strength. Ray groaned. Seriously? Zila stepped forward. No, he already proved himself by protecting me, by fixing the device, and by not using me when he could have. He passed your trial without lifting a weapon. Tharn stared at her, then at Ray. He grunted. Fine, then the village will decide. Later that evening, the people of the village gathered in a circle under the twin moons. There were torches lit and drums beating. Ray stood in the center, feeling like he was being watched by 100 eyes. Zila stood beside him, wearing a long blue veil. Her eyes sparkled in the moonlight. The village elder stepped forward. This human did not run when he made a mistake. He stayed. He tried to make it right. And he did not take what was not offered. By Valorian law, this shows true heart. The crowd murmured in agreement. The elder nodded. Then the bond shall be honored. Ray turned to Zila. So, we're really bonded now? Zila smiled gently. Only if you want it. Ray looked at her for a long moment. Her hair shimmered in the light, her face full of calm strength. The girl who once hid behind crates was now standing tall beside him, not afraid of what she'd become. I guess, he said softly, if I had to be bonded to anyone. I'm glad it's you. Zila blushed again, but this time she didn't look away. The crowd cheered. Ray felt dizzy. A human engineer who came to study broken alien tech now stood next to a beautiful alien girl who had accidentally become his fiancée, and it all started with one wrong button. But deep down, he didn't regret it anymore, not even a little. Just as he started to relax, one of the younger warriors rushed into the village circle, panting. There's trouble. He shouted. Someone stole the device. Ray's eyes went wide. What? The elder turned sharply. Who would dare? They said it's heading for the black market. Someone wants to sell it for body modification. Ray and Zila looked at each other. Zila's face turned serious. We have to get it back, Ray nodded. Before someone else ends up with a head like Elder Cole. Or worse. Ray ran through the forest. his boots crunching over alien leaves that glowed under the moonlight. Zayla moved beside him, faster than he expected, her light blue cloak fluttering behind her. The stolen device was gone, and time was running. Out. They're taking it to the trade tunnels, Zayla said between breaths. Smugglers use the old crystal mines to move illegal tech across the region, Ray panted. Why would anyone want that thing? It's dangerous. Zayla glanced at him. Because most people don't care if it's dangerous. They care what it can do. That device changed my body. Others might want the same, more beauty, more power. Ray frowned. Or worse. They might force it on someone. Zayla's face darkened. Exactly. They reached the edge of a steep hill that looked down into a canyon. Dim lights flickered below, figures moving, loading supplies and carrying crates. There, near the far wall of the canyon, stood a tall alien covered in a dark cloak. His eyes were silver and narrow. In his hands, the device. That's Crawl, Zayla whispered. He trades body parts, memories, anything he can steal. Ray crouched behind a rock. So what now? We can't walk down there. There's 10 of them. Zayla smiled faintly. No, but we don't have to walk. She reached into her pouch and pulled out a round seed. She dropped it to the ground and, within seconds, vines burst upward, twisting into a strong green rope. Ray blinked. Your people can grow ladders? Quiet, she whispered. We slide down. They both descended the vine wall and landed silently near the outer crates. Hiding behind boxes, they moved slowly toward the smuggler camp. Ray's eyes stayed locked on the device. Crawl now opened it, pressing buttons. Don't let him activate it, Ray muttered. Zayla peeked over the crate. He doesn't know it's bonded. It won't work unless I touch it or you, Ray nodded. Then we have the advantage. But just as they stood to move closer, one of the smugglers spotted them. Hey! Ray didn't think. He threw a handful of loose bolts from his pocket. They hit the ground near a glowing energy pack. The smuggler turned, and the energy pack exploded with a flash. The camp burst into confusion. Zayla ran first, darting between fires and scattering crates. Ray followed close behind. Stop them, Crawl shouted. He lifted the device and aimed it like a weapon. Zayla jumped forward and tackled his arm. Just as the beam fired into the air, the device flew out of his hands and landed between Ray and the smuggler warriors. Ray Dove caught it in mid-roll and pressed the green button by accident. Oh no! The beam fired backward, hitting a crate of food. Instantly, the fruits began swelling to massive size, bursting out of their shells and bouncing across the camp. Ray stared. Okay, that's new. Zayla grabbed his arm. Run! They escaped in the chaos, large mutant fruits bouncing through the air like soft bombs. One hit a smuggler in the face and knocked him out cold. As they raced up the canyon side, Crawl shouted, You don't understand, that tech is priceless. Ray shouted back, Keep it. If you like giant pineapples for a head. Zayla laughed as they disappeared into the trees. Later, back at the outpost, Ray finally sat down, placing the device on the table and locking it in a thick steel case. He sealed it shut with a retinal scan. No more buttons, he muttered. Ever again. Zayla sat across from him, her cheeks glowing softly. She had a small scrape on her cheek, which Ray cleaned gently with a cloth. You didn't have to come with me, he said. Yes, I did, she said. We're bonded, remember? Ray paused. You still mean that? She nodded. You risked your life to stop them from misusing our sacred device. That's not something anyone does for me. Ray looked into her eyes. I didn't do it because of the bond. Then why? She whispered. Ray hesitated, then said softly, Because I care about you. Zayla blushed, then lowered her head. Even with the coconuts? Ray chuckled. Even with the coconuts. Especially with the coconuts. They both laughed and the tension finally faded from the room. Just then, Elder Cole entered the outpost. His head had shrunk back to normal, but he now wore a helmet just in case. "I heard what happened," he said. "You two caused quite a mess." Ray smiled tiredly. "You're welcome," Cole grunted. "You protected sacred tech. And Zila, you stood up for your choice. That's more courage than most in our village." Zila smiled proudly. Cole nodded. "Then I will inform the council that the bond will remain." "You are now officially one," Ray blinked. "That's it. No more." "Trials?" Cole grunted. "I still expect a wedding feast." "And you'll be paying for it," Ray groaned. "Figures." But he smiled anyway. The device sat locked behind them. Outside, the twin moons of Velora 9 rose higher into the sky. Whatever came next. Ray wasn't facing it alone anymore. 2 weeks passed. The village had accepted Ray. Mostly. Some still stared. When he passed by, some whispered about the human with strange luck, but others began greeting him with nods or small smiles. The younger Velorian girls giggled when he walked through the market, though Zila's glare quickly ended that. He now shared a home with her, half alien, half human. It was strange but peaceful. Zila taught him how to filter skyroot water, and he taught her how to fix electric panels. Their differences made things fun. She didn't understand why humans used forks. He didn't understand how she ate soup with glowing chopsticks. But they laughed about it every night. Still, something lingered between them. Unspoken. One morning, Zila stood near the mirror, brushing her long white hair. Ray watched from the table where he worked on translating more of the alien devices. Data. He still didn't trust it. It sat sealed in its case on the shelf, but its presence always reminded him of how this all started. Zila turned suddenly. "Do you regret it?" Ray looked up. "Regret what?" Pressing the button, Ray set down his tools. "Honestly, no," she blinked. "Even after all the chaos, the stares, the bonding?" He walked over slowly. "If I hadn't pressed that button, I never would have met the real you." She tilted her head. "What do you mean? You already knew me." "No," Ray said softly. "Before that, you were always hiding. Behind walls, behind your sister, behind your cloak. After the accident, you stood up. You faced the whole village. You looked them in the eyes. That's the Zila I fell for." She blushed and turned back to the mirror. "You always say strange things, human." He smiled. "Comes with the species." But later that day, as the village prepared for the bonding feast, Zila disappeared. Ray searched the paths, the market, even the old shrine. No one had seen her. He finally found her alone by the glowing lake, sitting on a rock with her feet in the water. She stared at her reflection, her arms wrapped around herself. Ray sat beside her quietly. "I used to come here when I was little," she said. "This lake always made me feel safe. You don't feel safe now?" She looked down. "Everyone keeps saying I'm lucky, that I got chosen, that I'm special now. But I didn't ask for any of this." Ray nodded. "You don't have to be what they expect." She turned to him. "But I'm not like them anymore, and I'm not like you. I'm somewhere in the middle now." Ray reached out and took her hand. "Then maybe that's the best place to be." Zila looked into his eyes. "You really want this bond to stay?" Ray leaned closer. "Only if you do." She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yes, I do." Just then, a soft sound came from the trees. A young Velorian boy stumbled forward. He was covered in dirt and crying. Ray stood. "Hey, are you okay?" The boy pointed behind him. "My sister." She touched the glowing box. "She's changing." Ray and Zila looked at each other. "The device," they said at the same time. They raced through the trees and arrived at a hidden clearing. There, near a small log hut, a little girl sat on the ground, glowing softly. Her hair had grown 3 feet long in minutes. Her eyes were too big for her face, and her voice trembled. Zila ran to her and knelt. "It's okay. You're going to be all right." Ray opened the case. The device was missing. The boy pointed to the side. "We took it to play. It opened. When I dropped it," Ray cursed under his breath. "It's not a toy. It's a live machine." Zila picked up the little girl in her arms. "We need to reverse this before it stabilizes." Ray checked the scanner. The girl's body had started the bonding process with the device. Within 10 minutes, it would become permanent. Ray handed the girl his hand. "Touch the top of the box with me, now." Zila guided the girl's hand. Together, they touched the surface. A soft click. Then the screen lit up. Secondary bond detected. Reversal option. Active. Ray hit Restore Original Form. A quiet hum, a soft pulse of light, and the girl began shrinking back to normal size. Her hair returned to normal, and her frightened face relaxed. Zila hugged her tight. Ray sighed in relief. That night, the village lit their fires for the bonding feast. But the story had changed. Now they spoke of how the human had saved a child from permanent change. How the alien girl he bonded with had calmed her with kindness. Elder Cole raised his mug. "To Ray and Zila, may their bond bring peace and fewer accidents." The crowd laughed. Later, as they walked home under the stars, Zila slipped her fingers into Ray's. "I think I'm not afraid anymore," she whispered. Ray squeezed her hand. "Neither am I." They reached the doorway of their home. And for the first time, Zila leaned in and kissed him softly. The stars above blinked quietly. And the alien device, sealed once more, remained quiet in its case. But something told Ray its story wasn't over yet. The stars above Velora 9 were brighter than usual. Ray stood on the roof of his small outpost home, looking up at the night sky. The wind was soft, and the trees whispered gently below. Beside him, Zila sat cross-legged, eyes closed, humming a quiet melody from her childhood. For once, everything felt calm, but Ray had a strange feeling deep inside his chest, like a quiet drumbeat warning of something coming. "Zila," he said softly, "do you think we're really safe now?" She opened her eyes. "Why do you ask that?" "Ray, look down at the forest. Because the device is quiet." "Too quiet," Zila frowned. "You think it's still dangerous?" "I know it is," Ray said. "Even locked up, it holds power that shouldn't exist. It changed you. It nearly broke your village's trust. And it almost hurt that little girl." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "But you also used it to save her." Ray didn't reply. He was thinking about the data he had decoded last night. There was one file he hadn't opened before. Warning: emergency protocol, reproduction cycle initiation detected. He didn't understand it at first. But the longer he studied the words, the more it chilled him. The device wasn't just a body enhancer. It was a biological bond. Initiator designed by an ancient race, not just to shape bodies, but to match them, to push pairs together, to encourage growth, creation, offspring. Ray had accidentally awakened an ancient alien matchmaking system, and now, according to the files, it had activated. The device had sent a signal, a strong one, across space, and someone, or something, had answered. Ray's communicator buzzed. A signal, strong, local. He rushed down to the lab, Zila following close behind. On the screen, a ship hovered above the atmosphere. Sleek, dark, quiet. Zila's eyes went wide. "That's not from this planet." Ray nodded slowly. "No, it's from whoever made the device." The screen flickered. A transmission came through. An alien woman appeared on the screen. She was elegant, silver-skinned, with glowing lines over her face like ancient tattoos. Her eyes were pale gold, and her voice was calm. "Greetings, bonded pair," she said. Zila clutched Ray's arm. "I am Varuna. AI representative of the makers. Your union has been recorded. The device's bonding signal was successful. Your biological compatibility has been verified. Ray stepped forward. Wait, what do you mean recorded? We didn't ask for this. Varuna tilted her head. Consent was established through mutual acceptance and shared biological imprint. The process is complete. Your offspring are now requested for continuation of the maker line. Ray's mouth fell open. Offspring? Whoa, hang on. I'm not part of some space breeding program. Zila's face turned deep red. This is getting out of hand. Varuna continued calmly. Your pairing was one of the few successful matches in this region. Your genetic combination holds adaptive value. Your cooperation is required. Ray stepped in front of the screen. We're not genetic resources, we're people. Varuna paused, then said, Then you leave us no choice. The screen went black. Zila whispered, Ray. They're coming. The ship above began to descend. Lights opened underneath. Small drones flew out, scanning the ground. Ray grabbed the device from the case. We need to end this, right now. But how? Zila asked. Ray opened the last file on the device's system. It read, Core reset. Requires full bonded sync. Emotional lock must be voluntarily broken. He understood. They had to break the bond willingly. Zila looked at him. It means we must let go. Ray met her eyes. Are you sure? Zila hesitated. No, but I'd rather choose you freely than let them control us. Together, they placed their hands on the device. It pulsed. A light formed. The screen blinked. Release bond? Yes. Nure looked at Zila. She nodded slowly. They pressed yes together. The device glowed bright. And for a moment, Ray felt something inside him loosen. A strange warmth left his chest. The air shifted. Zila stepped back, her face wet with quiet tears. It's done. The ship above trembled. Then vanished. Gone. No sound. No explosion. Just disappeared into the stars. Ray fell to his knees, breathing hard. It worked. Zila sat beside him, silent. The bond was broken, but not the connection between them. Few days later, the village celebrated again, but not for bonding. This time, it was for freedom. Ray had protected them not just from outsiders, but from ancient control. Later that night, Zila joined him again at the lake. No magic bond now, she said softly. No ancient tech. Ray nodded. Just me and you, Zila smiled. Then, let me say it properly this time. She reached into her cloak and held out the small glowing stone again. Ray's eyes softened. I give it to you willingly, she whispered. No machines, no mistake. He smiled and placed his hand over hers. I accept, he said. Only because this time, I know it's real. Above them, the stars remained silent, and this time, no buttons were pressed, only hearts.